Good morning, everyone. Thank you for joining us today. I'm Dr. Velasquez, Health Officer for Spokane County, and next to me I have YWCA Engagement Lead, Gemma Rydell Johnson. You may recognize her. She's joined us before. And today we have a very, very important topic to talk about that I wish we didn't have to, but we do. And I think it's important that we'll have as much information as possible. October is Domestic Violence Action or Awareness Month. So we take this month, and that's why you're going to see a lot of purple, including our building tonight, because we use that color to catch the attention and highlight and increase awareness of what is a significant issue, not only here, but around the world, although we're going to focus in Spokane County. So the reason why Jenna is here with me today, the YWCA does a lot of work around that particular subject, people that are impacted by domestic violence. And many of us know a lot of the programs, many of us know a lot of the activities, but not everybody does. So I was wondering if you wouldn't mind sharing with the audience a little bit about what does the YWCA, what are the programs, what does it do, where do you come in, and give us like the rundown of the whole thing.
All right, yeah, absolutely. I can give you a brief snapshot. So we support survivors of intimate partner domestic violence. Those are folks who've experienced harm from their partner. So that could be a current dating partner, married partner, or former partner. All of our services are free and confidential, and we're here to support survivors and advocate for their voice. We have services in a wide range, things from more of that emotional support side, just being a sounding board for folks, right? Letting them test ideas, explore options and resources. We support folks who are housing insecure. We have support for folks trying to access the legal system. Our website is the best place to learn about those, and we also have walk-in services on certain days of the weeks for folks.
Wonderful. And there's a nice brochure here. I will encourage you to go to the YWCA website and check the resources out. But since we talked a little bit about intimate partner and domestic violence, we do know that according to the Department of Justice, a very, very broad definition. A lot of people, when I talk to them, say, well, domestic violence, that means, physical. I go like, no, actually, there's a lot more. What kind of misconceptions do you hear from those that are impacted by domestic violence and others? What do you hear that you go like, well, I wish we could clarify that?
Yeah, absolutely. You're right about lots of people think that domestic violence is just physical or that it has to include physical, when in some of these relationships it can only be a threat and perhaps it never actually occurs. But there are so many other ways to have power and control over somebody, and that's really what domestic violence comes down to. It's having leverage over somebody else through a lot of different means. That could be emotional or psychological abuse, economic, it could be using children or the family against somebody. There's all kinds of ways that we can see those tactics being used, so much more besides physical. And somebody can be in a relationship and never have experienced physical abuse and still qualify for services, right? Still be a survivor of domestic violence. So I'd say that's a really big one that we also see.
Wonderful. I'm glad you clarified that because, again, there's a lot of misconceptions. And now we have the category of technological because technology has advanced to the point that you can use technology to try to intimidate someone or coerce them, which is a little bit more.
Yeah, and it used to be you had to be very technologically sophisticated to track somebody's location, for instance. Now it's so super easy. And so digital abuse is something that we see, and folks under 30 are 3 times as likely to experience digital abuse.
I'm glad you brought that up because, again, one of the other misconceptions is we tend to think about intimate partner abuse, domestic violence as something that happens later in life, but no, it impacts every age group, and we need to be aware of that. So what do you tell the people that you interact with that have been impacted? How do you support them? What do you do for them? What do you share with them?
Yeah, I think one of the biggest things that we can all do better at, because of course statistically, like we mentioned, this is a really big issue in our community. It's 1 in 3 women and 1 in 10 men are estimated to experience domestic violence here in Spokane. And so whether that's in a professional setting or a personal setting, we probably know somebody who has experienced this. And so I think a great place to start is to listen and believe them, right? Is to let them know that the abuse is not their fault, that they don't deserve to be treated this way. Survivors are often made to think that somehow it's their fault. And so I actually recently wrote a blog on our website about victim blaming and how we can avoid victim blaming language, right? Because if we tell somebody, well, why don't you just leave? That assumes that, one, they want to leave, and that leaving would just be so easy to do, when in fact leaving is the most dangerous time for somebody. They are 70 times more likely to be harmed by that former partner in the weeks after they leave the relationship than at any other point in time. And so it's blaming the person for the abuse they're experiencing instead of holding the person committing that abuse accountable. So I think listening and believing are two great places to start.
Wonderful. I'm glad you mentioned that. That's a common misconception. If you just go, it will be fine. And that's not necessarily the case from a risk perspective. And there are other factors that sometimes make it difficult. So in the community, what are we doing well within the context of either education, prevention, and or intervention, and what can we do better?
Yeah, I think Spokane, because we know we have a high need, we have a lot of different services available in the community for folks to access. So I think that's a great strength of our community, and building better partnerships and relationships between those organizations. During this time, a lot of organizations are feeling the squeeze of funding reductions, and then also the need is not going anywhere. You know, our helpline, we're anticipating about 6,000 calls to our helpline this year. Usually we're closer to 4,000, so that's almost a 2,000 call increase. So the need is still rising, even though some of the resources are dwindling.
Wonderful. So as a community, we always try to do better. So one of the things I'm going to ask you is, how can we, anyone, get involved? How can we help the community be more effective? How can we help the victims of this type of abuse, whether, it doesn't matter whether young, old, or whatever. What can we do, and how can we get engaged?
Yeah, so like you mentioned, it's Domestic Violence Action Month, and other places might say awareness, and we like to lean into action because we want to move people from a place of just awareness to what can we all do to create a safer community for everyone. So in our very own Riverfront Park downtown, we have a story walk exhibit. We have 15 boards that have different poetry and art by local artists. The poetry is from survivors locally who worked with us through a Threads writing workshop to create these poems that explore parts of their journey from surviving to healing and thriving, paired with discussion questions. Questions like, how do you know if you're being respected in a relationship? Or what does it mean for somebody to have your back? Questions that people can use maybe for their own personal reflection, but then also with families and coworkers, because we truly believe that we can start to end the stigma against domestic violence if we just start talking about it, start talking about healthy relationships, and again, what we can all do. So I definitely encourage folks to check out that story walk. It'll be in the park all month long through October. We also are providing trainings online that are free for anyone to attend, Domestic Violence 101 and 201 in November. These are trainings to help people better recognize domestic violence. What is it? What are the warning signs? Respond, how can they support survivors? And then learn about the resources that we offer. And then the 201 builds off of all of that and helps kind of get into the weeds a little bit more.
So that would be great if you want to learn more, if you know someone, or if you believe that you may be in a relationship that has concerns. It would be good to really get all those trainings so you can better understand what the issue is. So the exhibit is in the ground level of the, I don't go to the mall very often, but.
Yeah, so it's in the park on the island.
On the park, okay. So.
On Centromia Island in the park.
Okay, so very easily accessible, no excuse, you don't have to go to the mall for that. So heads up, we're gonna be looking for you. So anything else you wanna share with the audience before we move away for today?
I think just the fact that we can all better show up for survivors in our own lives, and having a support system is really important for a survivor, because domestic violence thrives in isolation, right? It's easier to have power and control over somebody when they're isolated, and so we can each take that first step to help break that cycle of isolation.
Right. Which is one of the phenomena we saw during COVID.
Yes.
Because people did not have access to the outside world, it became a little bit more of an issue. So I want to say thank you for joining us today. It's always a pleasure to have you here. Thank you to the YWCA, which is one of our partners, for everything we do. And just as a reminder, you're going to see a lot of purple, and that's the reason for it. So tonight, the lights on this building will go purple too, and actually I have a board meeting today, and I'm going to tell them why I'm wearing purple, because I think sharing any information you can with anyone is actually useful. So thank you to YWCA, thank you to audience. Like I said at the beginning, it's a topic that we wish we didn't have to talk about, but we do, and that's okay, because if we are all aware, we'll do much better. And hopefully we'll prevent one more case. One less case is a win, right? And one person that is well informed is a win. So let's go there, stay safe, stay well. We'll see you again next week. And don't forget, look for the purple and go to the exhibit. Have a great day. Thank you.